right, welcome back for another edition of Hidden Gems. This is the video where I look at those hidden little treasures, those books that just might be tucked away in those back issue bins, maybe in a box, maybe on the wall. God knows where you find your books, but these are things that might not necessarily be in the dollar bins per se, but they might be underpriced in those back issue bins in some way. Just things a lot of people aren't looking at that you might not even be aware of are worth as much as they actually are on the aftermarket. So just those books that when you're digging through those boxes, I think you should be mindful of and keep an eye out for, because these things might sell for a little bit more than you expect. Again, I'm trying to reach to as many people as possible. Some newer collectors out there may not know all these books that I'm about to bring up. You might know them, and if you do, that's good. But if not, just be mindful that there are others out there who might not know as much as you, and I want to give them some information as well. So hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. If you do, let me know what you think in the comments. If you don't like it, let me know in the comments. I don't mind a little bit of criticism. I'd rather you make a comment rather than just give a thumbs down or whatever, because I can't do anything with that. Just tell me what you would like to see, and I'll see what I can do to maybe address your concerns. Now, I'm also going to be adding this as an article over on comicbookinvest.com this week. I feel like I can put a little bit more color behind some of the books, share some of the pictures there, and make sure you check out the article as well as dollar bin digging that I write over there as well as all the other writers who do some great work over on comicbookinvest.com. So go check it out. All free information. If you like comics, go check it out for sure. And again, please, for this video and this channel, like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Make sure you keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And yeah, if you want to see what books and little hidden treasures I want to talk about this week, just hang out for a few seconds and I'll be right back after the intro. All right, so following up on some of the variants that I covered last week on Chasing Ghosts, I still had some books that I wanted to talk about, but they didn't quite fit Chasing Ghosts, because you can find these books, especially if you go digging. You can find these, and hopefully you can find them, at a nice discounted price, a nice little cheap price, maybe cover price, maybe $5, maybe just a couple of dollars. Who knows? But these are the things I think you should be aware of. And the books that I'm talking about now are Darkwing Duck, because there are some pretty cool homage covers running through a good chunk of that series that I think you should be paying attention to and looking for, like this first one for Darkwing Duck #6, which, if you don't know what this is an homage to, well, it's a classic, Batman #9. Pretty cool cover for both. Pretty fun homage. I like it. And you're going to get a lot of Batman homages here because it's Darkwing Duck after all. It's an easy fit for them to do some homages with some of these covers. But let's see what this book actually does. If you find this in a back issue box, like I said, you find it for cover price or less even, this thing, somebody snuck this one. I will preface this. You can see right there, it's the third cover in this set. They were selling a lot of 4, 5, 6, and 7, and they only got $6 for it. And one of these is the variant in this homage. Now you're like, wow, $6. That's not quite a hidden treasure, but this is an anomaly in that they didn't really present this, as this is the book they should have been, put front and center. This is what they should have been selling this lot based off of, this particular cover, not having it tucked away behind all the other ones. Because if you look at the asking prices on this is $12 to about $30 for this particular cover. So definitely more valuable than that $6, and you get 3 other issues with it. If you ask me. And again, these are asking prices, and that doesn't mean that they're all going to sell for this. Who knows what they might sell for these days? These books all used to do pretty well the last couple of years, so that's why I always pay attention and always go looking for them when I'm digging through boxes. Especially if you find a kids section, Darkwing Duck, you hit yourself in the D's, you find any Darkwing books, I always look for the homage covers because, again, they're worth your time to pick up if they're cheap enough. And this is just the first one that we have on our list. When we're going to go over on to a few more, including issue 7, which has a pretty clear Batman #1 homage here. In this case, you have Darkwing and Gizmo Duck as opposed to Batman and Robin, obviously, but still, the bright yellow, the cityscape down below, pretty cool. I like it, and this one does a little bit better. Now, as far as sold goes, one sold in a lot with another issue we're going to talk about in a little while. This is a lot for issue 7 and 12. 26 bids got it up to $43. That's a lot of action for this book, and $43 ain't too bad. But that actually isn't bad when you consider the asking prices. The current asking prices, if you want this book by itself, it's $100 raw. with 16 watchers. 16 people watching that at $100. CGC 96 SS, $400. CGC 96 just blue label, also $400. Not a cheap book, especially in high grade. So finding some of these books in high grade really is a premium because, again, these are like kids' books. So a lot of kids' books don't get treated as well as you might hope. You know, they may not have survived the kids that they were initially purchased for. But this is one you definitely, I mean, the bright yellow cover too is a giveaway too. You see this in a box, it should jump right out at you. And you should see that, oh, wait a second. This looks like a classic cover. Even if you weren't 100% right there that it was Batman 1, this should have caught your eye. But be mindful of it because it could make you a few bucks if you find it for the right price. Because that's what I'm talking about here. I'm not saying these are going to be in the dollar bins. These might be priced. This could be in a back issue bin priced for, $5. Could be even $10. But if you might be able to, score $100 off a $10 purchase, I still think that's worth your time and effort. But that's your call to make. You make these decisions. I'm giving you the pricing so you know what things are actually selling for, what other people are asking for it. So this way, when you're in a shop and you're in your shop, you can make the call based on what they're pricing these books at. Because I don't know how your shop's going to price them. I just know the places I go, and when I come across it, I make those decisions for myself. Sometimes it's a buy. Sometimes you have to pass because it's still just a little bit too much. But your call. You make these calls for yourself. But I do like these covers, and I do particularly like the next one, which is issue 8. Issue 8 has a pretty classic homage. Now, obviously, the first homage that this is to Detective 31. Classic stuff. But I don't think it's a one-for-one homage for Tech 31 as much as I think this is an homage to the homage, which is Neil Adams' version, which was Batman 227. That's what I think the Darkwing is actually, homaging. But still, they're both looking back and homaging the Tech 31 ultimately. So what's the difference? All three are great covers and just awesome stuff. And this particular book has no recent sales. This used to be pretty pricey, and it still kind of is when you look at the asking prices, because the asking prices, it's about $50 for a raw copy. $50 for a raw, a 9/8's asking $435, and then a 9/4 SS is asking about $400. So definitely not a cheap book in any case. And $50 raw is a solid number. And that's kind of what it's been for a while now, I believe. But definitely one to keep an eye out for when you're digging in those boxes. Now, moving on through the list, we got a couple of more Darkwings. I don't want to make this too Darkwing heavy, but I like these, and I like sharing these. So hopefully you don't mind taking a look at a couple of more Darkwing Duck books because, again, I think they're pretty cool. Now, the next one might not be as pricey as the last couple, but I still think you should keep an eye out for it because it is Darkwing Duck number 11. Pretty cool homage to that Bruce Timm Batgirl Adventures cover. I dig it. You got the moon in the background. Pretty clear what it's homaging there. I mean, they could have added the red instead of having to be blue, but hey, still, I think it's still pretty clear what the homage is. Now, this one actually sold at a best offer, asking $25. They took $20 back in February. And then when you look at what the asking price is right now in the market, they're kind of in that same range. $18, $18, $17, $20. Like that's kind of what the ask is on this particular one. So this one may not be as pricey as the last couple, but still, if you find this for cover price or a couple of bucks, $2, $1, if you find it in the dollar bin, definitely worth your time to consider picking it up. Just like our next one, which is going to be issue 12, which will move off of the Batman homages and give us an X-Men homage. This is issue 12 of Darkwing Duck, and I'm sure you can see it. This is an Uncanny 141 homage there with the, on the background with the apprehended slain, except in this case, you've got homework and, loser and fun things like that. Because again, kids book after all. Still a fun cover. And this one, again, it's kind of in that same kind of range as the number 11, $15 on its own. But you saw, like we had that one sold earlier at auction with the number 7 for $43. And then there it is again with another one in a lot. Well, actually, that's a lot of A and B of issue 12, which is $30 for the two of them. So still not too bad if you can find it. And asking prices on this one, auction there, $20 to start, and buy it now price of $33. So still, it's not that cheap. You can still do all right if you can find this one, like I said, cover price, $5. A good price in a box. It might be worth your time to pick this up. And I got just one more Darkwing Duck book for you, and that's the annual, which is also another tough one. This is a toughie and one that is going to be a little bit pricey. So if you can't guess just looking at that cover with the camera. Yes, this is a Killing Joke homage. It is. Darkwing doing another Batman here with the Killing Joke. Pretty cool. Sold prices on this thing about $80, $100. March sale, February sale. Not cheap. Like I said, this is an annual, so annuals are not easy to find. This is also, I believe, like a B cover. They have two covers, the one being homage, and one just a regular cover for the series here. And this particular one, actually, this listed as cover A, but still, even if it is a cover A, this is still a pricey book. And right now, I saw one online asking $100 as well. So those sold prices, as well as what's available right now, it's about $100. So again, if you can find it at your shop, you can make that decision. Maybe it's 20. Maybe they got it marked for $20. Is it worth picking up for $20 if it's potentially 100? That's up to you. Again, you make that call. You make the call on these hidden gems, because again, these aren't books that are on the hot 10 list. These aren't books that a lot of people are digging for right now. So you might be able to find them underpriced or just tucked away in a box. And maybe they're cover, maybe they're less, maybe they're a few bucks more. But again, knowing the price in the market will help you make that decision of whether you actually want to buy it or just leave it behind. And you can always leave it for next time. Maybe it'll be there next time. Who knows? Or leave it for somebody else, and then they can add it to their collection or do something with it. But that's it. I told you. That's all I'm going to do for Darkwing. Now I'm going to move on to G.I. Joe. Yes, I got my CBSI G.I. Joe homage t-shirt after doing all those homages for Darkwing. But these are going to be just some regular IDW G.I. Joe books. So we're going to leave Boom behind and move over to IDW. I'm not going to do any Marvel or DC today. So hopefully you don't mind that. Hopefully you don't mind looking at some other stuff, kind of mix up, which you can find in those boxes. Because not everything is about Marvel or even DC these days. But G.I. Joe, number 212. Yes, this is from the IDW series. They picked this up after the Marvel run, which ran about 155 issues. And then IDW picked up that numbering and started to tell the real American hero stories there. This particular issue is, I believe, the death of Snake Eyes. You can even see it down below. Death of Snake Eyes, Part 1. 212, pretty pricey when you consider this. As does have a couple of covers. There is also an incentive, which I think is a sketch version of this or a black and white version of this. But the B cover, subscription cover, I think is actually what they call it, is pretty cool. You can see that pretty awesome Snake Eyes shot right there. Now, there is a second print as well, which is very close to that subscription cover, except it's more washed out, more like a closer to black and white. It's not completely black and white. It's just closer to black and white, where you take it. It's more gray scaled out. The little box with Scarlet up top is definitely in black and white as opposed to being in color. This is what the second print looks like. Very close, easy to confuse the two. Even listings confuse the two when they're selling them online. So just be mindful of what you're looking at when you're shopping for these things, whether it be in a shop or even online. Now, just going to cover just kind of a broad picture, baseline for some of these prices. Sold copies, you can see there. I think that was A and B for the first print, and I think the B cover there, $60 for the pair sold. Then I think we have the second print listed there for about $20, and then $12 in an auction for another one here. And I think they might have mislabeled that one as a second print, where it was actually the subscription cover. Why does that matter? Well, these are the ones that actually sold. But if you look at what the asking prices are, what's actually left on the market now, you can see the price difference. That A cover is asking about $60. Not a lot of copies of these out there. I mean, not to say it's a ghost or anything like that, but there's just not a lot of options. And the options that are out there are kind of in these ranges. The second print is asking around $25 or thereabouts, whereas I found the subscription cover asking for over $100. So you can see there's a price difference with some of these things out of what's actually on the market right now, as opposed to what it might have sold over the last couple of months, because all those sold prices were actually from back in January. Those were the most recent sales I could find for these G.I. Joe books. So again, not recent sales, not a lot of people currently looking for this stuff, which is why some of that data is a little stale. And then that's why we got to kind of lean on where the market is asking, because that's where we're at now. It's not January anymore. We're nearing, it's almost April. March is almost over. But that all being said, Death of Snake Eyes, we're going to come back to this a tiny bit and after a couple, but we're going to move on from here. With the Death of Snake Eyes, we're going to get introduced to the new Snake Eyes, or the eventual new Snake Eyes, with our next issue. And this is going to be the introduction of Dawn Marino. She's not Snake Eyes in this issue, but this is her first appearance as Dawn Marino in issue 226 of G.I. Joe Real American Hero from IDW. Again, I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of these books. I get it. I know, but not everybody has the same knowledge base as you. So I want to make sure even those newer collectors are aware that if they find themselves in front of a box of IDW G.I. Joes, these are the numbers you want to look for. These are the ones you want to kind of gravitate towards. These are the key issues to kind of pick out of those boxes. So that's why I'm spotlighting those here now. So again, if you know about it, I know this might be old hat to you, but just be mindful there are collectors who may not know as much as you. So I might have something extra for you guys here later on. That's why I'm doing so many books. I'm doing like a dozen plus. So this way I can reach everybody with different options and different, collector levels of some recommendations. That all being said, PSA aside, getting back to this, issue 226, first appearance of Dawn Marino. There is a subscription cover, pretty cool action figure variant there with Cobra Commander. Kind of dig that. That's, a pretty well-known one, I believe, as well, that action figure cover. So keep an eye out for both of these if you can find them at your shop, because prices, sold prices, roundabout. Again, these are kind of the more closest to recent and just kind of a broad idea of what prices could be. $45 for the action figure sold back in February, and $60 back in January for the cover A. Again, not recent sales, not recent at all, but asking prices going to be a different tale. Asking prices on the subscription cover right now, if you want one, it's $130, whereas $100 for that cover A. So the asking prices right now are a little bit higher than what the actual sales were from a month or two ago. So just be mindful of that as well. You put that into play when you're figuring out if you find this at a shop, what they're asking for. Say your shop has this 226 on their wall, or it's in a box and it's marked like $30. Do you want to buy it? I don't know. You still got to consider it, right? Based off these prices of sale prices and asking prices. If it's marked 50, well, then it's a different story. It's a different conversation. These are decisions you can make for yourself depending on how it's priced when you find it. I'm just trying to give you a broad scope idea of what the market is. You make the call of how much you would like to pay if you even want it. If you're not interested, God bless you. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy any of this stuff. Just talking about comics. Just be mindful of it, because in case you find it in like a cheap bin or a cover price, place like that, or a dollar bin even, make sure you absolutely grab this. But make those decisions for yourself, right? It's your money after all. Moving on from here, as I said, this was the first appearance of Dawn Marino, but we do get her first appearance as Snake Eyes coming up in issue 244. I do like this Snake Eyes Storm Shadow cover. Pretty cool. There is a B cover here with Serpentor and Zartan's sister. Is it Zarana? Zatana? I can't remember. I can't remember how to say her name for some reason all of a sudden. But one of the Dreadnoughts, Serpentor on the B cover. Another tough one to kind of find. It is just a B cover. It's not an incentive, but still not always an easy find. And you'll see it reflected a little bit in some of these prices when we bring this up with the sold prices for these. Both of them going for about $80. That cover A sold just March 14th. So that is a recent sale, whereas there's a February 27th price on that B cover. Now, why did I bring up the fact that these are selling for the same? Like, actually, sold prices are about the same, but the asking prices right now aren't. That B cover asking price is quite a bit more. $90 asking for the cover A, $200 for that B cover asking price. I believe there is a little bit of a cheaper copy, not much cheaper, but a little bit cheaper. There's also an asking price for a raw $500 on that B cover. But I just picked one just to use an example, and the example I use is the $199.99 version of that B cover. Both very expensive. So again, don't know what it's going to be priced at your shop if you find it, but just keep all of this information in mind when you're making your decision of whether you want to buy it or not. So that's all I'm hoping to do for you, is give you some information so you can make that call for yourself. I luckily did get that B cover. I think I bought it online, got it at a decent price, and I'm happy to have it because I like it. I like the cover, and I also like the first appearance as Snake Eyes. I think it's something interesting. Who knows what's going to play out in the future, but I kind of like it personally. My call, I made it. Up next, going back to the Death of Snake Eyes, we're going to go to a trade paperback. I know I don't want to cover a bunch of trade paperbacks. I did that for Chasing Ghosts once. I don't want to get too far down, in the weeds with this one either. But Volume 15 is worth knowing. This is the trade paperback. It's out of print. It collects that Death of Snake Eyes series. A bunch of these volumes, like in this kind of range, I think like 15, 16, 17, like all of these do pretty well. So if you can find these on a rack on a shelf at an LCS for, whatever the price, the MSRP price might be be mindful of it, because this particular out of print issue can sell for 120, $150, $120. That was March 22nd. That's less than a week ago. February 17th on that $150 sale for this same trade paperback. And if you want to go shopping on eBay right now to go buy one for yourself, well, there is one, and they want $200. So again, out of print trades, it's a whole nother niche in the our collectible market. But this is just one, again, just be mindful of it. Be aware. Hidden things all over your shop. They could be there. They could not be there. I don't know. But this is why you go looking for them. Who knows what you might find? This could be tucked away somewhere at an LCS near you, and you can do all right for yourself. But this particular one, again, like I said, collects the Death of Snake Eyes. It is pretty pricey, as you can see, but there are a few of these. Go ahead, take a look at eBay for yourself. Look at these out of print IDW trade paperbacks. These later volumes are all decently priced and could get a good return. Now, going to leave IDW. We're going to go over to Black Mask for a second. This is a little bit of an odd series. A buddy of mine told me about these when they came out. He said I should check this out, and it is pretty cool. It is a pretty cool series. It's a little off the wall. Art's kind of crazy too, but I like it. It's very bright, very vibrant. This is Space Riders. First issue from Black Mask. This actually was self-published before this. I think there's a copy that's I don't know if it's really considered an ash can or just self-published version that was released at a independent publisher convention where there's a copy that actually sold pretty well. Maybe I'll cover that in Chasing Ghosts, because that thing ain't easy to find either. But the Black Mask issues are also worth being aware of. It's only 4 issues, that first volume. The first run, the first mini, is only 4 issues. So keep an eye out for all of them, because if you can get a set, you can do all right. This is the cover to issue 1. A lot of pinks, a lot of purples, blues, some greens. Colors all over the place. Very vibrant. Just like issue 2 here with the bright yellow. Looks a little bit like Gamora. Looks a little bit like that robot from Heavy Metal down below. Really cool stuff. I kind of dig it. It gives you a little bit of like a Paul Pope, kind of a new school kind of vibe with a lot of this stuff to me. Here's issue 3, also kind of a fun little thing, as well as final issue 4 in that first mini-series run. Again, who knows? You might find these all cover price, just tucked away in a box or in like an independent stack of just cheap stuff that the shop just doesn't know what to do with. Nobody's looked for it. Nobody wants it. It's just been sitting there forever. Dust it off, flip through that box, and maybe you find yourself this series, because if you do find the whole series, you can see it does all right. It could sell for up to $85. Buy it now, February 24th. Issue 1, 2 bids, up to $30. And then in February, somebody snuck a whole set 1 through 4 for only $15. So again, be mindful of that as well. You could sneak some stuff, even online, underpriced from some of the normal run-of-the-mill sales. And if you think, well, $15, that's nothing. Well, yes, somebody got that one for pretty cheap, but that's not the norm here. That's a little bit out of the ordinary, because if you look at the asking prices on issues 1 through 4 are more $115, $125. So again, be mindful of that. Individual issues could get you about $20 each. The issue 1 obviously is going to be a little bit more, because a lot of people like issue 1s. But get the whole set if you can. You can do all right for yourself, or get yourself a nice little series for cheap if you can find it. So again, this is stuff that's not everybody's talking about. You might have to dig for it. It may not be there, but just be aware of it and keep your eye out for it in case you run across it. You know what you're looking at. So you see these bright ass covers, oh, this is something. Why do I know this cover? Maybe it'll ring a bell in your mind and you go, you know what? I think this is worth something. And as you can see, it kind of is. Now, I got one more run of books that I want to talk about here, and that is going to be Lucio Parrillo's Warlord of Mars covers. Lucio Parrillo has done some fantastic painted covers on like Vampirella, Red Sonja, but a lot of people forget the Warlord of Mars run, which there's a number of really good covers. Go take a look at all of them for yourself. I'm just going to give you a couple of here that I particularly like, and you can see that they do all right. This one, I always liked, this issue 17, just something about the way that it's shadowed, the way she's kind of peering underneath, almost like she's looking underneath the trade dress. I just kind of like that kind of look to it. This thing has no recent sales. No recent sales to speak of. Again, nobody's looking at these right now, but a lot of people still are aware they are valuable because the asking prices are still there. Sure, you can find it as cheap as $15 plus shipping, or $25 to $35. So if you find this thing like for cover price or less, or $5 in a bin, I think it's worth adding to your collection at that price for $5 because these used to sell for a lot more. These Lucio Parrillo used to be a little bit more of an in-demand artist. I think he's people forgotten about him for a little while, but I still think this art is fantastic and is worth your attention. So just be mindful of it in case you come across them. You come across these Warlord of Mars books. These are, I believe, like B covers or considered B covers. There are incentives for some of these, which are like virgin versions of these covers as I mumble and stutter my way through this. But God knows how hard those are going to be to find. I've not come across those often. Not come across them in actual shops. I've seen them online occasionally, but just look for the regulars. Even these are worth your time. This is 17. The next one I like is issue 21. This one used to be very, very pricey. This used to be like 70 to $100 at one time. Now it's a little bit cheaper. So doesn't mean you shouldn't be looking for it because it's a pretty awesome cover. Still gorgeous cover art. You can look here. Copies sell March 17th at auction, $21.50. Again, these are books that shouldn't be auctioned. I mean, try to buy at an auction because you're going to get underpriced. But if you're trying to sell, don't sell at auction because these aren't things that people are looking for. You're not going to get a lot of views or a lot of activity because it's just not on the tips of people's minds right now. Nobody's thinking Warlord of Mars, Lucio Parrillo covers. So just be mindful of that. If you were trying to sell, look, and even down below, $20, one bid for a 3 set. There's 3 covers in there, including this issue 21. And if you look at the asking prices are, despite the, like I said, this used to be like $70, $100 at one time. Now 25, 35 is really the asking price, which is still a decent amount of money and still, I think, worth it for this cover. Personally, I like it. We got one more. I got one more Warlord of Mars. This is closer to the end of the run. I think it ran for like 37-ish issues. This volume, this issue 30. Again, I know when you look at it real quickly, you're like, oh, it's not suitable for work. But I know everything's covered, but it's still borderline. You get a little bit of that Hellraiser kind of feel with some of the barbed wire and stuff. It's a little bit borderline there, like I said, but still really cool. If you're into this, you can see this is frequently sold as like bondage cover, and there's a collective, there's a market for that. There's a whole subculture of collectors looking for things like that, and that is probably why this one does a little bit more than the others. As you can see, $75 one sold for, $38, $25. These are all old sales. These are from January and December because those are the most recent sales that I could find for this particular book, but still solid sales nonetheless. 25 to $75 on this particular issue 30. And then you look at the available copies, still asking 50 to $80. 50 to $80 really. So keep that one in mind. This is another one you want to keep an eye out for if you're flipping through a box because, again, it's Warlord of Mars. It's not a big series. And everybody knows like Vampirillas. People dig for Vampirillas. Red Sonjas even. There's Red Sonja collectors. There's not a lot of Deja Thoris, Warlord of Mars collectors. I mean, there are probably a few. I'm not saying there aren't. Just saying not as many. So just be mindful of that. And we're just going to wrap up here. I got one more we're going to talk about. I mentioned Red Sonja. Queen Sonja. I am a big fan of this cover. I think Mike Morello put me on this one. Queen Sonja, number 23. I dig it. I finally got one like last year. I'm glad to have it in my collection, but just be mindful of it. Keep looking, keep digging. There's a lot of these Parrillo covers out there. Not all of them are worth something. That's the other thing. Not everyone is worth something. Just grab the ones that you like. He's done tons and tons of covers on all of these series, different versions of Red Sonja, Queen Sonjas, Vampirillas, and like I said, Deja Thors and Warlord of Mars. He's done a lot of covers. Not every one is super valuable, but get the ones that you like. You can't go wrong. If they're not expensive, get the ones that you like. But some of them, like this one, could make you a few bucks if you find it for cheap. One sold $50 back in February, and then you can see there's a whole lot of a bunch of them sold for $80 at auction. Again, auctions, telling you, only one bid. You're doing yourself a disservice by running these things as auctions, is all I'm saying. But asking prices on this one as well, as you can see, $60 raw, $100 raw, $500 9.8. This is not a cheap one, but it's like I said, it's one I really like. And I'm not surprised that the asking prices are where they are. So just pay attention to it. Know this cover, so when you're flipping through a box, maybe you find it. Maybe you get lucky. That's all I'm saying. Now, hopefully you enjoyed that as well as all the other stuff here on the channel. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you checking this out. Go check out the article over on comicbookinvest.com. Again, I'm just going to put a couple of the couple the picks up, do a little bit of a quick write up, give a little bit of pricing information, and yeah, just check out all the articles on over there. There's a lot of good stuff. But let me know again what you think of this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know if you don't like it. If you don't like it, don't just give a thumbs down. Make a comment. Let me know. Maybe I can do something to address, your concerns. But with that all said, I'm having fun doing this. Hopefully you guys are still having fun watching these videos, and I will be back soon with some more content for you. All right, later.